Guys, you've probably heard me talk about the redevelopment that is happening in this 30-acre shoreline shopping district known as Ports o' Call, how the whole place is being torn down to make way for a new concept called the San Pedro Public Market. A lot of demolition has happened already. Just about everything is fenced off. The tenants evicted, but a few, including LA Radio Studio, where we do this show, and Ports o' Call Waterfront Dining, which I talk about all the time. In fact, you can still make reservations. You can still go to, I'll tell you, it's a spectacular place. Before we get into this, I just want to tell you to go to the restaurant. Support Ports o' Call Waterfront Dining. And go to their website, portsocalldining.com, or call them for reservations, 310-833-3553 if you're in Southern California. Daily sunset specials continue. They have the best Sunday brunch in the whole area, and their outside harbor side patio just got an enhanced view of the northern side of the harbor. It's pretty spectacular. You can see the harbor from every seat in the building, and I want you to go there and enjoy it because it is an historic place. As I pointed out, you were conceived and delivered there, more than likely, because your parents have been going there forever. And I've been to a couple of wedding receptions there. I've been to a wake there. I've had drinks with the owner of the place. Oh, look, he's here now. Jayme Wilson, welcome to the program, sir.
Hello, how are you doing, Phil?
I'm doing well, even better now that you're here. I'm hoping for some good news from you because somehow Ports o' Call Waterfront Dining in this studio has avoided the wrecking ball, and I'm gathering that the reason for that is largely due to your efforts.
Well, we are working with the developer and we're working with the port to stay and be part of the waterfront.
Tell me a little about what Ports o' Call Waterfront Dining, what the restaurant means to the community.
Well, Ports o' Call is the restaurant is the community meeting place. It has been here since 1961. It's the oldest restaurant in the harbor area. It's also the largest and has the most employees. There has been special events here for the last 57 years, and we've had events where the grandparents got married here, the daughter got married here, and then they had events for their children here. So, I mean, it has been a continual service to the community since its opening.
And you operate Spirit Cruises as well, right?
Yes, and we've operated the restaurant for 15 years, and we've operated Spirit Cruises for 35 years.
Is that still running? It doesn't look like there's a place to park the boat, so to speak.
Well, Spirit Cruises operates in Long Beach, and we have some boats at Cabrillo Way Marina. The construction or deconstruction that's going on right now has definitely impacted the boat operations. We're hoping that'll be resolved in the next few days so we can begin operating again in front of the Ports o' Call restaurant.
Oh, well, that's a glimmer of hope and potential good news. We're going to delve into that a little more. How many people do you employ here at Ports o' Call?
120.
And are they all still gainfully employed?
Yeah, they're all gainfully employed. Of course, some employees have decided they should take care of themselves and move on. We've had a few people do that.
Yeah.
But we have not done any layoffs. Luckily, we've been very busy. The community is very supportive of what's going on. Sometimes I don't like hearing the word that, we want to go there one more time before you close. And I keep saying, well, we're not going to close for a while. So.
You notice I didn't do that when I was talking about making your reservations. Right. I purposely did not do it. I want to ask you this again. Just a pointed question. How is it, while almost every shop, restaurant, and attraction has been shut down and many of them leveled, and all the pleasure boats that were docked outside of our window here are gone, but Ports o' Call restaurant and this studio remain? How is that possible?
Well, we've been working with the port and the community and coming up with a solution. You know, our entire family has worked to help redevelop the waterfront. We have been supportive of waterfront promenades. We've been supporting of the need for new improvements. And always in the past, it was going to be done in phases, where they would build a new section and then move tenants into. It wasn't till recently, meaning last fall, when the port decided that phase development wasn't going to work. So since we've been working so hard to make this improvements happen, we've just been negotiating with the developer and with the port to stretch out this as long as possible. It's one thing to close for a few months while your new place is being finished, but to close a business for 3 years while they're working on your new place is very, very difficult for all the employees and customers and the family.
How were the shopkeepers and others who operated businesses here at Ports o' Call told to leave?
They were given notice to leave, and then they were served eviction papers, and all the those other shop owners moved out right before the wrecking ball came.
Have you received an eviction notice?
Yes, we have, and we're going to court next week. We're still trying to resolve those things, but as of now, we're going to court next week.
Wayne Ratkovich, you know the name, right?
Yes, great man.
He's the CEO of the construction firm that won the $150 million contract. In talking about your restaurant in an interview I heard recently, he says that the 50-year ground lease for the restaurant expired a year or so ago. Is that accurate?
Well, the actual lease that I had with the port expired actually in 2008.
Oh.
We've been on a holdover since then, based on the fact that all the community planning efforts, the EIR, everything said the project was going to be built in phases, and that the existing successful tenants would be relocated to a new location before they were torn down.
Yeah. All right. Now, Ratkovich also said when the ground lease expired that the restaurant fell into disrepair. How would you respond to that?
I think maybe there's some confusion there. I believe he was intended to talk about the village and the retail fell into disrepair. Now, when we took over the restaurant in 2005, we ended up putting over $1 million into it in 2005 because it had gotten tired. And we put in all new interior, new carpets, new windows, new kitchen, new air conditioning. So we did that in 2005 when we took over the restaurant. But I think the point that Mr. Ratkovich is trying to make, and he's a fantastic developer, does great work, was that because the center itself, the whole Ports o' Call Village, was built in the 1960s, and because their lease was running down with no hope for a new lease, that the existing operator did not continue to reinvest in his property. I don't think he was specifically talking about my restaurant.
So with the ground lease expired, does that limit your options?
Yes, it does. It makes it a lot more difficult to negotiate a relocation and continuing operation. Now, luckily, we have a letter of intent from Wayne Ratkovich and the development team, and like I say, we're working with the port, so the gap between when we need to move and when we can move into a new location is narrowed.
Yeah. All right. So, as a business owner, as a restaurateur. You close the doors of your restaurant, assuming that's what happens in the near future, and then you don't have a business for a particular amount of time, however long that is. I don't know how long it is. Then you, in theory, are not making any money. Is the restaurant your main source of income?
No, it's not. The restaurant has always been operated like a community benefit. We do make money in the restaurant. The money's reinvested in the restaurant. The profit center has always been Spirit Cruises. You know, it's restaurant has a lot more employees. It's a lot more complicated. And in the best of restaurants, you're operating with a margin of 5 or 10%. And we operate in that range. We do over $5 million in sales, so we're probably one of the top 25 restaurants in LA in size. But the difficulty of closing is you lose your customers, number one, who's almost like an extended family. Number two, you lose your employees, which also are part of an extended family. And I think you know, Phil, we enjoy what we do.
Yeah, I do know that, yes.
A couple of my sons are in the Merchant Marine. They're officers on U.S. container ships, and they were both over in China. And when they came back 2 weeks ago to see the demolition for the first time, even though they're 34 and 36, it brought tears to their eyes.
Yeah.
This is where they grew up. This is where they learned to walk. They learned to play. And there's so many more stories of like that, not just my family, but other families that have worked here, their first job in high school, you know, and now their granddaughter's having a birthday party here. So I think being closed for 2 or 3 years is really difficult for everyone and the community.
This is a delicate dance that you do, speaking publicly about this, because potentially you put a wrench into the development plan, and it could potentially derail things, or at least move them in a different direction that was ultimately put on paper. Did you have any consternation about coming onto the program today and thinking, well, this could be bad potentially?
No, I don't think it's bad. I think I'm working to help make it better. And I think the solution is what's best for the community and best for everyone. And if we can figure out a way for that transition period to be a smaller gap so our employees can keep working, it'll make the project better. If we're vibrant and if this waterfront is vibrant throughout the construction process, the developer will be better because then we already have a base of customers ready to move into the new at the new location.
So since the new location is a fait accompli, that is going to happen. What is your ideal plan?
Well, originally, a few years ago, when the port said things were changing and we were not going to be able to do it in phases, they had talked in terms of us being able to stay open through December of 2018. That then was shortened to September. The best thing for us at this point would be to allow the project to go forward and for us to be allowed to continue to operate through December of 18. I've already made some arrangements with some other locations so we can shift our business, keeping it in San Pedro, and try and narrow the gap between when we can reopen. And there's some ways to do that.
Keeping it in San Pedro is a bit open-ended. Does that mean that you would continue to operate on the waterfront, or would it be elsewhere in the zip code?
Well, I'm hoping it's on the waterfront. And if you look at some of the things that the development team for San Pedro Public Market has shown is a combination of container kitchens, container activities, festival tents, there's a lot of different options where we can be creative and allow a very unique space to exist along the waterfront during the construction. And it could be such that, for example, the radio studio could be put in a shipping container with the same equipment, the same desks, the same everything, and we could move it up along the waterfront or put it on a trailer and move it to Hollywood if we needed to for some shows.
Wow, how about that, right? Portable. That is portability. It does bring up the question, how do you keep it nice and cool inside?
Well, just like this air conditioning we have in the studio now, we could use the same stuff there.
And I have I don't hear it. Do you hear it?
No,
it's nice and cool in here, isn't it?
It very is. And the intent would be we would use the same windows to the engineer space, the same windows to the open end would have the container doors open up and the studio would be in. So, I mean, there's creative ways to solve all problems, and I'm going to continue working to try and solve this problem for my employees, my family, and the community.
Are we essentially attached to the restaurant? Whatever happens to the restaurant, it happens to this building with the studio, or are we going to show up one day and there will be marshals with padlocks outside and the restaurant will still be serving food?
No, this is tied together, and I think one of the things, Phil, the water system, the sewer system, the electrical system for this part of the village and the Yankovich fuel dock are all tied together. So as long as the Yankovich fuel dock is here and the restaurant's here, the studio is definitely here.
Yeah. All right. So what's next then? You've survived the demo up to the edge of your patio. Because the last time I was here was 2 weeks ago, and there was still stuff to the edge of your patio. Today, it's gone. That isn't intended to be a message for you, is it?
Oh, I think it is a message for everyone. The port is very good at doing major construction. I think today they're working on where the Acapulco was down by the Maritime Museum. Yesterday they finished tearing down the Marina restaurant on the north end of the fish market.
The fish market remains strangely. How was that possible?
Well, talking with the developer, the thought was that they can build the first phase of the project where the Ports Call restaurant is and allow the fish market to continue operating. They are the highest rent generator in the area. We're only the second.
That's interesting.
And so that was the reason that decision was made. And I'm not faulting that decision. Obviously, I would have preferred if they had built the fish market just a little bit to the north of us. But that didn't happen, and it's above my pay grade to figure out why. I'm just still trying to find some solutions, find some alternatives. The community is really taking this on.
I was going to ask, what can the audience do to help if there is a way to help?
Well, there's community meetings going on. We're not involved in it, even though we get blamed for everything. We're not involved in it, but when you've done a good job for the community supports you. And so there's a Saving Ports Call Restaurant Facebook page. There's community meetings. There's been protest or appearances at Harbor Commission meetings, just continuing to raise the issue about how we can make this work. And I think as long as the community and I and others are trying to find a solution, we will find a solution.
Is there the opportunity for the harbor and or the developer to blindside you and show up with marshals and padlocks, say, tomorrow morning?
No, that can't happen. We are going to court next week, so we'll get a sense of what's going on at that hearing. And then if things don't go our way, there's an appeal process. The developer has requested in writing for the port to work with us to find an interim solution plan. And for both the restaurant and for Spirit Cruises, we have submitted some potential settlement ways to do this to the port. We're hoping to hear back today or Monday on that issue. But the process is lengthy. And one of the challenges that we have is that because the port initially told us December of 18, we have bookings through December of 18. For example, we have, I think, over 220 events booked between now and December.
Wow.
And for Mother's Day, which is coming up in just a few weeks, we already have 1,400 reservations. So they're not going to close us down next week. Don't worry.
So what's your public relations message for folks who come down and they see all the construction going on and boom, there's an oasis of a restaurant and then our building right next to it? What's the message you send out there when people come out? For Mother's Day, you want to take mom to someplace nice. Once you're inside the restaurant, it's beautiful, right? But everything around it's a little like we're stuck in a bad part of town all of a sudden.
Well, we have signs up that say open during construction. We do an e-blast to about 14,000 people every week talking about what we're doing in the restaurant. And still on a daily basis, people are walking through past the construction, seeing us, and saying, this is the most beautiful place in the waterfront. Why would they tear it down? And so we have such good following from our friends and our families and all the community that we're going to do fine through this process. Maybe as it gets closer to that November date or December, whatever we're talking about, it'll be more difficult. But, as long as the fuel dock is going to be operating just south of us, there's an easy reason to resolve these issues.
Everybody should support Ports of Call Restaurant. Come out, make your reservations, or just come out after work and hang out in the bar. Just a beautiful bar.
Well, just come enjoy yourself. One of the challenges that we're having, a lot of our customers who've been here a long time, a woman came up to me and goes, Jayme, I love your place. I come here every Wednesday for lunch, but I don't know that I can come anymore because I cry when I'm here. Oh. And I said, please come. Don't cry. Enjoy us while we're open. And I think that's really the message I want to get across. We're looking to meet the needs of the community. We're enjoying what we're doing. And come and have fun. Don't come and cry.
And you're accessible. Come over and ask, hey, is Jayme here? You'll come over and talk to somebody, won't you?
Oh, definitely. I'm here almost every night. My son, Wyatt Wilson, is here 6 days a week. My son's fiance, my son, West, and Charlie are getting married here on July 5th. So yeah. We're planning to be open.
How about that?
And so this is a family restaurant, and even if they're not a Wilson, they're all part of my family.
That is well said, and we hope for the best. And I got to ask you one more time, what's up for the studio? What should we expect? Can we do the show next week?
Oh, you don't need to worry about that. But, I really think looking at creative solutions, and, as we talk in terms of potentially container kitchens, and I'm sure your listeners have heard about these container shopping areas in these bars, scenes, and all that stuff. This could be a really fun thing to do in the interim while we're waiting for a new place to be built.
Yeah.
And the studio would be fun. And then we could move it to places when we need to do.
And I can tell you, I can confirm that we've been having nothing but fun in here, and it's thanks in large part to you, sir.
No, I think it's in part to you and Mike and all the people that work here doing their shows and stuff. And, even when you don't have your show, I listen to you on another network on Saturday and Sunday.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Jayme Wilson, thank you and good luck, and we'll keep track of what's happening, and we'll continue to inform the audience what's happening with this as well. And come on out and have your dinner and drinks at Ports of Call Restaurant.
Yeah, long live Ports of Call.
Yeah, and book your event, too. Is there room? You're not sold out yet for the events, are you?
No, we're not sold out. We're still taking care of families and friends.
Okay. Fantastic. Jayme,
thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. All right, there we go. Wow, all right, so I feel a little better about this. At least it's not happening tomorrow.
I've never met Jayme before, but that man sounds like he's about 30.
Yeah,
He's
that's
got
right.
the youngest sounding voice. I don't know. It was remarkable. I had a hard time reconciling, all the experience that he's clearly gotten.
Something
I
about
don't
good
know how
living and
old
living
he
down
is.
on the water. It keeps you young.
Yeah, he sounds really youthful.
Yeah, well, there you go. So anyway, if you haven't been following this, that's what we're dealing with, and it's front of mind whenever we drive up to the studio. And holy cow! Anyway, we're back to regular stuff. We're going to have the bee lady in just a little bit. Want to get a couple of stories going first of all. So, Stu.